Welcome back to Inside the Lines. Happy Thursday. We are going to continue to chip away at the Super Bowl today, covering a lot of the touchdown market. We'll talk about first touchdown, anytime touchdown, some parlays you can make with some good value there before we do that. And we, of course, always have the NBA slate to go through and any questions you guys have in the chat. Any NHL, John's here as well. So let's take a look back at yesterday. Another profitable day for the team. Been a pretty solid week here. We go 4-3 on these plays. NC State money line just barely misses. Would have been an awesome parlay there for Jake.
Sohan hit.
Huh?
I'm sorry. I think Sohan hit over 1.5, 2.
Sohan hit in the first quarter.
Yeah. So even better.
Okay, 5-2. Let's go.
Yeah,
trying to
All right.
take away one of my plays.
Just trying to chip away at Jake's confidence for our Super Bowl competition here. You know,
in my head when I was making this, I knew that Sohan, because I checked last night. I was like, all right, go off, Jake.
Yeah, hit in the first quarter. I didn't have to watch the rest of that game, so I was thankful. And then NC State they should have won that game. That was just rough. But we did have a profitable 2-1 night on Sportsline, 8 picks on college basketball, so we'll take that.
Hell yeah. Scott is already on Mitchell over 3.5 rushing yards. We love to see it. Play of the week. Love to see the team get on board with that one. All right, let's head. Before we hit the NBA slate, we are going to go through. All three of us have some touchdown props to add to our prop portfolio that we have here. Again, as mentioned today, touchdown scores, all that type of jazz. Tomorrow, be answering a ton of questions on the Super Bowl and talking about some more fun parlays as well. Before we get into our picks, none of us have first touchdown official picks, but I do want to show the odds here in case anyone has any thoughts on anything. Jake, if you had to pick one, is there someone you'd be willing to pick?
I don't know. I think Rashee Rice kind of. I think he is. I don't know. He doesn't have any value, right, Steven? All the ones.
Yeah, the ones we have value are Pacheco and Debo.
Yeah.
Maybe
so
Debo
plus 950.
But Pacheco by far at plus 620. The sim would set the line at plus 620. So just so you know, in my data here, these are just obviously the top contenders. It doesn't include all the defensive players and the other potential scorers. And the percentages of the best prices add up to 98%. So basically all the options, whereas our sim best price adds up to 90%. So we have a little more wiggle room. So that's why you're not going to see a lot of value here. But Pacheco and Debo being fairly priced and Pacheco being offering more than we would.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, let's round robin. And if you guys have any first touchdown bets, we're certainly happy to give you the value we have on that. But we're going to round robin into our 3 plays here that we like. I'm going to start with Jake here. We got an interesting parlay. I actually really like this. A good creative way to go about it here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm going just both running backs to score a touchdown. We talked about McCaffrey. His line was all over the place earlier, but everyone has him to score a touchdown. But at minus 210, I don't love that. But Pacheco, we have good value in the model, and so I'm parlaying. Both of them have been beasts in the playoffs. I think they've scored in every game in the playoffs so far. So I'm taking both running backs to score a touchdown. That goes to plus 150 on DK.
All right. Good stuff there. We'll go over to Steven, picking a little less of a Hollywood player here, but certainly some awesome value here with Jerick McKinnon.
Yeah, so for my strategy with this portfolio theme, I look for not only good values based on our sim versus the lines, but also a combination of a chalky play, a middle, 35, 40% play, and then a long shot for the upside. And this is the upside I brought up yesterday with the reason why I liked the under 22.5 for the number of the first touchdown scored, because McKinnon isn't being factored at all in these odds as a relevant player, but he could be, because if this was a year ago where he was, had I think 14 regular season touchdowns, he probably would be priced at maybe 1/3 of Pacheco, but he's priced at under 20% of Pacheco, whereas in the sim he's more like 1/3. So we give McKinnon over a 20% chance of scoring a touchdown, because I'm banking on him being healthy and being used in clever ways by Andy Reid. When he's played last 44 games, he's accounted for 11.5% of his team's rushing touchdowns and 16% of the receiving touchdowns. Those are individually both very high numbers for a guy who's not considered a starting player.
All right. Bold move there. I mean, I like the thought process there. You never know what they're going to pull out in the Super Bowl, including Elijah Mitchell, who might have over 3.5 rushing yards. All right. My play, I've been going back and forth with this. I'm going to make a poll in the chat after this to help them decide which way I go with this. Originally, I was going CMC first half touchdown at plus 135. I just rather get it out in the first half just in case maybe he gets injured, something happens. But then I started thinking second half might be better. It's around the same price, plus 130. Definitely going with some version of a CMC half touchdown. So I'm going to put the poll in the chat. Maybe the team can help me out with this one here if I should go first half or second half here. But I don't know. I mean, this is how you get plus money on CMC. You just got to pick the right half. But I feel like it's a pretty good shot. I feel like it's a pretty smart play. Anyone agree?
And you got a decent chance of having both halves. That's
what Derek. Yeah, CMC both halves plus 450. It's pretty happy. Yeah, maybe I'll just do both. Maybe just really skyrocket the value there. All right, so at some point I will decide first half or second half. Tentatively, we're going first half right now. We're going to move on to Jake's second pick here. We might as well all get Juwan Jennings merch because we are all over him. This would be really awkward if he just doesn't play a lot this game.
Yeah, I wanted to get creative with my plays. I was trying to go half unit and I was shut down. They just don't want me to win, I guess. But I'm just going to keep going with the Juwan Jennings props right here. He's still a big receiver, big possession receiver. These coaches get creative come Super Bowl. So they might be doubling Debo in the red zone and Jennings leaks out for a touchdown.
We need Jennings to leak out all over the field for the props that we have created this past week on him. So I like that play there a lot. I would have taken this if I didn't see you take it as well. All right, Steven, we're going back down to the juice here, like you mentioned, with Pacheco anytime touchdown. Doesn't need too much explanation here.
Yeah, just real quick. He's accounted for 58% of his team's rush attempts, in his career, and 76% of the rushing touchdowns. So, the price of minus 120 is priced more like a 60% type producer. And then he's also undervalued because he has accounted for 5.5% of the team's receiving touchdowns. And so if you look at our sim value of around 60% chance versus implied probability of 54.5%, it's really coming from that extra usage as a receiver.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if it has in the model here, but looking at where would we have set the line for a Pacheco touchdown here?
Minus 150.
All right. So we are calling that value there. Yeah. Minus 120 is not bad. All right. Let's head over to my pick. I'm going with some juice here too. I know it's lame with Kelsey minus 110, but I just would feel like an idiot if he gets in the end zone and I didn't have any type of say on it. I mean, he just played the best defense in the league, quote unquote, and found the end zone and had over 100 yards on 11 carries, didn't drop a single pass. So I don't think the Niners slot middle defense is better than the Ravens, that's for sure. I also don't think it's anything necessarily impressive that he can't handle. So doesn't need much explanation either. But
not to do you any favors in this vicious competition, but I think you can get plus 102 now, it looks like.
I know, but it's on like Bally Sports. I'm trying to.
No, this is Bet Rivers, and then there's plus 100 on ESPN. I know they're bastards.
Yeah, we don't use ESPN. Yeah.
Plus 102 on. So, okay, fine. Pay the attention.
Yeah, well, let her take the minus 110. We know, yeah.
It's better than putting like 0.9 units like Jake would do, whatever, he's talking about.
Whatever. I'm a woman of the people. Most people aren't out here using Bet Rivers. All right, let's move on to our last picks here. Use check anytime touchdown at plus 750. Another big value play from Jake.
This goes into my over 22.5. The jersey number play where Kyle Juszczyk takes a little fullback dive up the middle for 2-yard touchdown. I know Steven has a Ivy League player in Justin Watson with one of his props, so I had to go with the Harvard alum, Juszczyk at plus 750. He probably knows all about value. Go to Harvard.
Mm-hmm. Well, his wife's making a lot now with that team.
I know, yeah.
I thought there's like plus 1,000 here, Jake. Again, on Mackenzie's favorite Bet Rivers.
Give me plus 1,000 on Bet Rivers. I'll take that.
Yeah. Again,
maybe I'll be adjusting the final graphics before game time for us here.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to Steven's third pick here at Debo Samuel.
Yeah. So Debo, the things I like about him are so he counts for around 21% of the receiving touchdowns. Brandon Ayuk is around 23% of his touchdowns, and they have similar lines. Debo's got plus 160 versus plus 175 for Ayuk because Debo's used as a rusher, but he's used as a rusher a lot more than that slight adjustment when applied, more than a 2% edge. So with Debo's rushing touchdown production threat, let me see, he's around 5% of the team's rushing touchdowns. We have him at, God, we would set this line at plus 100. So there's a lot of value here on Debo.
All right. Looks like the chat is giving me CMC first half touchdown is what I'm going to rock with. So that's where I'm going there. But as far as my third pick here, we're going a little more value than Kelsey. We're going MVS anytime touchdown plus 600. Me and Derek were chatting about this. Maybe he can help me out with the stats in the chat as well. But as far as having 2 weeks to prepare for a game, I can totally see Andy Reid drawing up a play for this guy that no one else will see coming. And again, he's always
score touchdowns.
Huh?
Yeah.
He doesn't score touchdowns, but
Well, that's the thing, he's due, right?
Exactly.
He is due.
No one's ready for it. Maybe not even him.
Yeah, Butterfingers, Valdez Scantling.
Unfortunately, he had to stick him on his hands his last play against the Ravens. But
one explosive drive, he's always mismatched. He's always going to be faster than the guy covering him. I think there's a chance here. All right, this is my third pick. Okay, everyone, Peanut Gallery can keep it to themselves here. All right,
must be a bit better than plus 600. No, yeah,
I just take Kadarius Toney.
I did see someone say Kadarius Toney in the chat. I'm not against that. I don't have any rules here. All right, that is all we have right now. I'll put up the recap so far of our portfolios at the end, but we're going to head into the association now. We got a big slate today, a lot of trade deadlines as well, so we have to be careful with the props here. But we are certainly on top of everything. Derek's been helping us out a lot with that. We're going to start with the Warriors headed to the Pacers. Pacers now laying 6.5. They've seen some steam here, but we like the Warriors to cover.
Yeah, they're major disappointments at home this year, but are actually underrated on the road, which is a complete reversal of last year. They're 14-8 against the spread, and they actually have a better point differential on the road, +3 point differential versus -1 at home. They haven't played tough games recently on the road stretch, but they have won 3 of these 4 road games by 23 and 11 and 20. Pacers have not covered the last 3 home games and are not defending the 3 well at home. So the last 4 visiting teams have shot 48, 38, 37, and 43%. So with that, I like Golden State to cover. The model has this almost as a 50-50 game.
All right. And then we're looking at Wiggins here for you, Jake, right?
Yeah, I'm playing Wiggins after a really good night yesterday where he had a double-double in just 23 minutes. He's 8-0 on this number, over 15.5 points and rebounds in his career playing at Indiana. Indiana, I think they're one of the 5 worst teams against small forwards. They did add Siakam, which probably helps, but still, they're one of the 5 worst teams against small forwards in terms of points given up. So we have plenty of value in the model, and so I'm betting on him to stay hot after a really good game yesterday, especially rebounding where he had 10 rebounds.
Yeah, good for him. A nice double-double there. I guess I'm going to ask, before we get into each matchup, are they involved in any trades right here? Spurs and Magic, have they seen any action today that should affect this game?
I don't think so, but Wiggins actually on the last one might be traded. There's some rumors, right? Milwaukee was interested, but that wouldn't hurt your pick if we didn't play.
Yeah, it wouldn't hurt I mean, if he's traded, it's voided. If he's not traded, I like the play.
He'll be sliding plenty, yeah.
Yeah, he won't be on a restriction.
Yeah. All right, well, let's move over to the Spurs, headed to the Magic here. We have a little act now moment. Going back to the well with the 1.5 made 3-pointers. It did work out yesterday, I will say.
Yeah, so I like it because the line is priced correctly if you look at his overall average at home, where he averages 1.4 and the over is just 9 and 10. But I'm banking more on his recent trend, which is last 15 games, 10 and 5. A lot of this was done on 9 of 12, his last 12 been on the road. So I like the fact that a player that usually shoots much worse on the road has been trending up and averaging 2 a game in the last 15 games. So that's why the model has him at 1.7 made threes.
All right, Franz. I love that for him. Let's move over to Dallas, headed to Madison Square Garden here, laying 4.5 points on the road. We don't have a ton of model value on Dallas. Is there a reason why?
It's because Jalen Brunson, the revenge game, he's definitely going to be impacted by his injury if he plays. So we don't know if he's going to play or not. And it's pretty sure that if he plays, that he'd be slowed down because he had a pretty serious-looking ankle injury, it looked like. So I think that's why it's creating some steam towards Dallas and some confusion on the model side because Brunson's a tough guy and he's not exactly a speedster. So I don't know if his injury will necessarily impact his game as much as it might other players.
And both teams have made a lot of moves today, so that's definitely something to consider. The rotations could be very interesting today with both of these teams. With Grimes out for the Knicks, and then Grant Williams just got traded, and they traded for Rashawn Holmes as well. So there's going to be interesting players getting some minutes that usually don't.
Could be something to look into, or just stay away from completely.
Yeah, I am going to go against Luka for his made 3-pointers. He's hit 4 exactly 3 straight games. And so the line's been adjusted so high that even though our model has him at 3.6, it's heavily juiced on the over. I saw minus 146 on the over and plus 120 on the under. So that when you factor that in, I think the value. I mean, I see 2 scenarios. Besides, it could be a close game, and Luka has great shooting that again. But the other scenarios I also see is the Knicks play well defensively, which they usually do, especially against a 3, and Luka has 3 or fewer. I also see a scenario where Dallas wins by a lot, and Luka sits in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that he's made 4 threes the past, what'd you say, 3 games?
3 games in a row, yeah.
Not enough to me. Like, that's all I need to hear. I feel like
he's only hit this number once in his career. He's only gone over 3.5 once in his career against the Knicks.
Yeah.
But he hasn't played them since 2022.
All right. Yeah, I like that a lot. A good nugget from Derek here, though. Dallas under is 4-0 in the past 4 games, so that should go nicely with our underplay here for Luka. All right, let's move on to the Cavs headed to Brooklyn. Are there trade rumors here at least? I guess that's why this is called kind of an act now situation for some of these guys.
Yeah, I mean, Brooklyn just traded Dinwiddie for Schroeder. Obviously, I don't think either Schroeder wouldn't play.
Royce O'Neal was just traded.
Yeah.
According to Derek. So there's been a couple of trades in this game already.
Yeah. But I do like the under for team total for Brooklyn. I'm going Cleveland. I think the number is higher because Cleveland played last night, so it's a back-to-back. And Jarrett Allen, Evan Mobley, while not listed on the injury list, there's always a threat that they could play reduced minutes. But I'm going on the overall where Cleveland opponents have scored 110 or more just 4 of the last 16 games. So that seems like a solid number to rely on. And Cleveland allows fewer points on the road, 109, than they do at home. So you have a defense that allows 109 on average on the road against a below average offense and team in Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm. All right. And then Nick Claxton, I like this play a lot here too, Jake. Obviously it goes with the Brooklyn under as well.
Yeah, it concerns me a little because this line is at 27.5. It makes me think that Vegas knows something about either Jarrett Allen or Evan Mobley sitting, but 27.5 still just seems pretty darn high here. We have him at just 24. He hasn't hit this number in any career games against the Cavaliers, and there's a chance that the Nets have a weird rotation with all these trades pending that he might not even play the fourth quarter. There's a lot of wonky stuff going on with the Nets today, so I really like this under. I'd probably play it down to 26.5, 25.5 maybe, but I like it a lot at 27.5, minus 120 on Fanatics.
Yeah, the ugly stuff makes me like to take the under here for everything, or just stay away. But if anything, take the unders. Big Cheesy asking about Jarrett Allen here. His points line at 14.5. Was he one of the guys that we thought potentially weren't playing?
Yeah, or it could be something surprising,
like a late scratch.
Yeah. But and again, late scratch. We only have projected 13.5 points, but that's with everybody playing. If Mobley sits, then I certainly could see Allen getting back up.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's move on to Minnesota going to Milwaukee. Milwaukee just 1 point home favorites here. We're pretty much in line with the odds makers with that, but we do like points to be scored.
Yeah, the model really likes the over because Minnesota is a great defensive team, probably the best. But on the road, they're not nearly as good. They do allow, I want to say 8 more points on the road than they do at home. Chicago just put up 115 in regulation against them, 129 for the game. Milwaukee, they have great defensive players and they have a great defensive reputation, but they haven't been playing great defense, especially this season. And so team totals, their games average 245 at home. So a price of 226.5, which you can still get which is 2 points less than some of the consensus lines. Is all that is Minnesota's average road game total 225 adjusted slightly higher for Milwaukee's high 245 home. The Minnesota travels well 3-point shooting wise. They shoot 39% both road and home, and Milwaukee shoots 39% at home. So that's why the model has both at 39.3% shooting.
What do we have on Karl Anthony Towns turnovers? I know his line's at 2.5, and that was a popular play, the over.
I usually do start my day looking for Karl Anthony Towns turnovers.
Yeah, you should. Looking for value.
It's just like every other day I have it right on top of my head, but today, nope. I have a 2.4.
Okay, so on top value.
All right.
All right, let's move on to. We got a lot to get through. Bulls going to Memphis. I saw someone mentioning the chat. Alex Caruso blocks, which is something we have been tracking. But we like the steals.
His line's all the way up to 1.5, which is
it's line's too high. I mean,
exactly.
He's not Andrei Kirilenko, for Christ's sake. I don't know if you don't remember him.
Kirilenko had that only 5x5 game in NBA history. 5 steals, 5 blocks, 5 assists, 5 rebounds, 5 points. Crazy. And
he'd be like, he'd have better chance of getting the other 5s besides the points in some situations. But anyway, Caruso is playing like Kirilenko. He's just loading everything. And I like his steals today. He averages more steals on the road than home. He's on a really strong month stretch of 9 and 6 overs with a 1.7 average. Memphis is 5th in the league in committing turnovers. The last 2 games, they've had 19 and 20. You want to probably act now because the plus 130 is available, but it's plus 120 or less in most spots.
Mm-hmm. And big Alex Caruso night in general from the team. And Jake here is banking on him to stay hot here. He's hit this in 4 of his last 5.
Yeah, I like Alex Caruso rebounds. He's coming off a 9 rebound game. Memphis allows 54.3 rebounds per game at home, which is second worst in the league. And then there's also Andre Drummond is being talked about in trades. I know he's been linked to the 76ers. So that could open up a ton of rebounds if Drummond is traded. So I like this regardless, but there's potential that this could become even nicer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Someone's got to get the boards. Someone's got to do it. All right. Jazz headed to the Suns. Suns 6.5 home favorites here. We have slight value on this. Nothing crazy, but we like John Collins here.
Yeah, I'm kind of weirded out by the line.
Yeah.
The line's not making sense to me because he's been on a great overall stretch, been scoring around. He's been putting up like 17 and 10 with efficient shooting his last month. So he's playing a lot. He averaged over a block a game last year, and the over was 47-30. Down this year to 0.8, but it's still 24 and 24. So you would just think that it would be even money on both sides, or no, minus 120 on both sides, of a half block. So yeah, I think this is a great opportunity to get plus value on a guy who's all the numbers point to a 0.7, 0.8.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, take the plus money while you can. I like that there. Let's move on to the Nuggets going to the Lakers. They are road favorites, 3.5-point road favorites. Roy Hachimura, someone we really haven't talked about recently.
Yeah, so we like the model likes Lakers because of the road splits, but this is not your normal matchup because all the smack talk from both sides, it's the coach for Denver and everything else. In Denver, as when they want to turn it on, they can really turn it on. So, but the model still leans Lakers because overall Denver is just a slightly better than average team on the road, and the Lakers are a very good team at home in terms of point differential. But I don't have confidence in that pick because you never kind of know what's going to come up. But if you like the Lakers, then we would agree with you. I like Rui Hachimura because he was the player that played really well in their playoff matchup last year. So he's got a lot of confidence against his team scoring wise. And even though Rui is not a great defender, he had some success versus Jokic and the other big front court players of Denver. So he's got a weird situation though that his averages all skew over. Against Denver, he averaged 17.6. His 17.9 his last 7 games, but the overs are just 3 and 4. And even like for the season, he averages over 17 points, rebounds, and assists, but the over is well under 500. He averages over 16, but the over is just 16 and 22. So I'm hoping the regression to the mean in this case is getting that over back to closer to 50-50.
Right. All right. I like that there. Regression to the mean. That's our favorite tactic there. One more game to get through tonight. Pistons headed to Portland here. Portland 6-point home favorites. We like points to be scored again.
Yeah, so again, teams are being involved in trades. So I'm hoping that Detroit had a big game from Jaden Ivey. You know, we had him on his threes, and they had a big 133 to 120 win, I believe, at Sacramento, that they can continue to stay hot even if Cade Cunningham misses another game. But I'm just going with the overall numbers, where average Detroit road totals are 239, overs 5 and 3 in second half of back-to-backs. Portland's home total is +3 higher at home at 227. And interestingly, Portland's been an under team all year, but they are over 6 and 5 when they have 2 or more days off. And they haven't played since February 4th. So maybe some fresh legs help them get offense.
Speaking of coming off a bye or a few nights off, it just reminded me of the Andy Reid stats that I was looking at from a year ago when I was covering the Super Bowl. Was he is 30-7 coming off a bye week, which is super random to mention right now. But hey, this is all good information leading up to the Super Bowl. Okay, other than that, let's hit the recap screen for today. Tons of action in the NBA today. Lots of player props. We'll certainly start to cover these trades once everything's official, see how it impacts certain players and player props as well. We are almost a week away from college baseball as well. Jake and John are very, very excited about that. So we'll certainly hit some futures for that next week, some NFL draft stuff. Tomorrow, we're getting crazy. We're doing some parlays. We're answering all your questions for the Super Bowl. So have them ready. Start brainstorming. Good luck with your bets tonight. We'll see you guys tomorrow.